Hello, and welcome to EDES 101 AT1. My name is Coverdale, and I am completing this unit as part of my studies for my Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, birth to 5 years. I'm at ACU on the Melbourne campus. I went to school in England. I remember enjoying my early schooling and wandering and exploring green spaces in the schoolyard, and playing football and meeting friends who I'd remain friends with for a long time. In my later schooling period, between the ages of 12 to 16, I was often less engaged in what teachers were trying to teach. I did find their methods dull. I often remember having to copy text from a projected slide into an exercise book. This was done in both of my required science classes. This would lead me and my peers to engage in disruptive behaviour out of boredom, or it could make me feel very drowsy. Looking back on this now as someone who has a love for science, I do believe that if I had received more engaging educational methods, I might have looked into science as a subject for my further education. Some subjects were required, such as maths, English, and science. I remember having to choose at the age of 14 whether to do art or music. I was not able to do both. My parents were my strongest inspiration growing up. They were both teachers who had strong appreciations for music, art, and storytelling. The message they wanted to impart on me most was to be honest, empathetic, and to treat everyone equally. After finishing school, I worked a range of jobs, and after moving to Australia, I finally chose to study early childhood education. The reason was that I wanted to work with young children, because I'm drawn to the ways in which young children engage in their world. I am drawn to their curiosity and wonder. I want to help support this in children by providing environments and experiences that are engaging. I want to provide them with choices about how they learn and empower them to continue to enjoy learning. I believe that children learn best when they are actively engaged and have agency in their learning. During my 15 years working with children and my study of this degree, I have been inspired by Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. I recognize that children express themselves and their understanding in many different ways, such as language, story, dance, song, and art. By understanding each child's interests, I can support them to learn in an engaged environment. This is evident in the room I work in, by the experiences I provide and the interactions I engage the children with. Similarly, I'm inspired by my studies around Reggio Emilia. I see children as creative and capable learners. It is therefore my duty to provide them with an environment in which they can explore, use their imagination, and develop their abilities to collaborate, reason, wonder, and express themselves. The most important way for me to support children's development is through building positive relationships with them. This is so they can feel safe and valued. Then they can learn. I will often use storytelling as a tool to help capture children's attention and get them thinking about possibilities. I often do this with accompanied drawing to give them a focus point. Using this method, I'm able to engage individuals as well as groups of children and help them develop their empathy by discussing how characters are feeling and what they might do next. In Happiness and Education by Nell Noddings, Chapter 4, The Aims of Education, Noddings argues, I will strongly defend different forms of education for children with different interests and talents. I agree with Noddings here, as this aligns with my beliefs around the many ways children are able to express themselves and how they can be engaged. It also aligns with the EYLF outcomes. In Noddings' chapter, she promotes happiness as an aim of education. This sounds wonderful, but it is a broad aim. She draws clear links between individual happiness and their connection to society, and how they can contribute to the well-being of others. Noddings is against a one-size-fits-all approach to education. I agree with Noddings, and believe that my own education was constructed in a box-ticking fashion. I think I would have greatly benefited from more education around other areas of life, such as homemaking and parenting. For this reason, I'm grateful to now be working as an educator using the EYLF outcomes. The learning outcomes of the EYLF promote a broad view of education and are aiming to promote children to be able to learn and be observed in their understanding about the skills they can develop, which will give them the best chance of happiness. As for my own happiness, in my role as a teacher, I find happiness through connection also. I'm able to connect with students using empathy and humour to build strong relationships and help children have the best chance of success in their future, regardless of the role they decide to take in society.